morning. Good morning. Hope everyone's having an amazing Wednesday morning. This is Millionaire Brand Creation, and today we're going to do a little recap on 10X, 10X your marketing, 10X your business, and then I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes of 10X GrowthCon Miami, which a lot of us are going to here starting on Friday, Saturday, and then we all get back on Sunday. But first, I wanted to talk about 10X marketing. So if you remembered last week's course, I gave you 7 methods to create your $1 million brand. And to go over those again, to recap, the first was show legitimacy, right? How do you show legitimacy? You show legitimacy by being professional, by curating great professional content, by creating great photography and showcasing a great brand presence with you and your brand. The second thing is Google yourself, right? If you haven't already, take the moment to Google yourself, go out there and make sure that everything on your SEO is strong. And if it isn't, try to create article content and things that'll create a great brand recognition for you on your first page of Google and hopefully going into the second. The third thing is create content, right? How do you create content? Well, the best way to do that is to be consistent and different. You want to be authentic with your brand message. You want to figure out what it is that you are unique at, what you are good at. And you're creating video posts, you're creating blog posts, you're creating a lot of picture-based content, and you're furthering your brand. The fourth thing is leverage social media, right? I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm on social media all the time, but are you leveraging your social media to create great monetizable investments into your company, right? You have to be robust on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. YouTube is becoming more and more of a powerhouse over the past 7-8 years. Continually create great content. And one of the ways that I do it is, as we talked about last time, creating at least 10 interactions a day on these multiple platforms. That can be done through commenting, which is the strongest, posting, likes, all of these things that are getting and disseminating your brand out there to create really high value content. The fifth thing is build a following. How do you build a following? You build a following, as we talked about last time, by going out and creating great content that people can relate to. 6 things is promote your advocates, right? What are your advocates? Well, if you have mentors or you have co-branders and or people that you work with, promote them alongside of yourself, right? So if someone has a larger following than you, if someone has a larger brand presence than you, you want to consistently be promoting them and cross-pollinating your followers with theirs, etc. And then the last but not least, I want you to take this away, and I think Grant talks about that in his 10X program, is you never want to compete, right? When you compete, you're in a situation where that business model will not last, right? It will not last because you're not creating something different. You're not curating unique content, and that unique content is not building your authentic personal brand. So we want to start local, we want to then go national, and then from a national platform, we want to take your personal brand global. So that's what we talked about, the 7 methods to creating your $1 million brand next time. Today, we're going to talk about 10X marketing, and Matt is going to be so generous as to hopefully post in the comment section. Hey, Patrick, good morning. And in the comment section, he's going to post a video that Grant Cardone put out about a year ago that talks about how do you monetize your social media. And it goes really in depth and ties into what we talked about last week, Patrick. Lisa, good morning. And what that'll do is it'll be 40 minutes, and he's with him on a whiteboard. He just posted the link. Thank you, Matt. And what I recommend is sometime later today, maybe tomorrow, take the 40 minutes and watch what Grant has to say. It's really fascinating about how he outlines how to 10X your marketing and how to 10X your business and your personal brand. But let's start off with Grant's 10X rule. Many of you have read the book. Many of you follow the 10X movement. And I want to break it down because I read the book, but I read the book probably a year and a half ago. And it's a perfect segue into the actual event this week. So here's the book in my mind summarized in 3 sentences. The 10X rule says that number one, you should set targets for yourself that are 10X greater than what you believe you can achieve. Why does Grant say that? Well, he says that because if you set a goal too small and you fail, you will have that flywheel effect of defeat. But if you set a goal big enough and you fail, you will have extreme success, right? Number two, you should take actions that are 10x greater than what you believe are necessary to achieve your goal. I think the biggest mistake most people make in their lives is they're not setting their goals high enough and they're not taking massive action to fulfill your true potential. If you guys were on the Grinders Clubhouse this morning, we had that from 7 a.m. today to 8:30 a.m. I know Lisa was on. Marta, good morning. I don't know if you were on, Patrick or Marta, but what Alfonso and Suzanne and myself and Kobe and a lot of people talked about was stacking your morning routines. I have tracked and I have really studied billionaires across the planet. And one thing that you can implement today, right now, is to change your morning routine for the rest of your life. I cannot stress this enough. And the 3 things, if you have your notepad out, that I would focus on every morning is number 1, your health, because without health, nothing else matters, right? If you're not focusing on the betterment of your body and the betterment of your mind, you will fail in every aspect of your life. And what are some things that you can do right now? Create movement. So one of the things that I do every morning, is Lisa knows, she's in my workout group. Hey, Ann, how are you? Marta, yes. So I'm glad you guys listen in. Is one of the things that I do every morning is I walk 5 miles. And if it's not in the morning, it's sometime during that day. And if you're creating movement, walking is the easiest thing you can do, lowest impact, and you can do that every single day. And here's the caveat I think that'll help change the trajectory of your morning routines. In building your brand, in 10xing your brand, I want you to start tagging people that can learn from this and or cross-pollinate your following with doing this. So one of the things that Lisa, myself, Nick, Courtney, Mike Hill, Erica, a lot of people started the first of the year was this little workout thing. And what we do is we post stories every morning. Maybe you're a part of it. And I urge you to do the same. One thing this does is it creates a dynamic where you're holding yourself accountable and you're showing others that you're making an effort, which is big. That'll help stick to your goal. And the second thing that you're doing is you're getting more eyes on your brand. You're getting more eyes on your consistency. You're getting more eyes on curating and benefiting long-term from these effects, right? So that's what I'd recommend. Number 1, health. Number 2 is you have to focus at least 20 to 30 minutes in the morning on your money. I know Grant, and one of his biggest reasons that he started the 10X GrowthCon 6-7 years ago was because he wanted to blow up everyone's net worth, right? That was his goal, to make you richer, not only monetarily, but also in every aspect of your life. And in order to be wealthy, I say this quote all the time. I think I said it on Closers Club earlier, is consistency always beats genius. What does that mean? That means if you're making daily deposits financially, maybe you're paying off debt. Maybe you're putting money into buying your first piece of real estate. Maybe you're doing something every single day and tracking it, as we've discussed earlier on, or like Ann, buying your first rental property and creating a VRBO business with your son. Like, all of these things are trackable. And the reason we want you to do these daily routines every single day is when we habit stack, we can measure, we can retain, and we can make this part of our daily routines. And it will jumpstart your ability to become 7, 8, 9-figure people a lot earlier on in your career. Because one thing that you'll see, having measured a lot of different people in different aspects of their life, if you fail to have a routine, you will fail to be successful long term because you're not measuring it on a day-to-day basis. So that's something to bring into account. So those are the three things, right? Daily routine. First thing is health. Second thing is money. The third thing is people. You have to constantly be investing in people, right? Why do I do this every Wednesday? I do this because I want to invest in myself by showing you guys that I show up. And secondly, invest in all of you and your successes. Don't be afraid to promote yourself. Don't be afraid to put your message out there. And in fact, if you tag me in something and it's positive and it's uplifting, I will be more than happy to reshare it and put eyes on your guys' Instagrams, your Facebooks, your LinkedIns, your YouTubes, because I think it's really important. Uplifting messages curate a great message for all. And I think that'll really help your brand. So health, money, people, those are the three things. Now, back to Grant, right? Back to his 10X rule. The biggest mistake I think most people make in life is not setting goals high enough, right? The 10X rule is based on understanding that the level of effort and the level of thinking that is required to succeed. You must have an extreme level of effort, obviously, but more importantly, have an extreme mindset to say, I'm not going to accomplish this today. I might not accomplish this tomorrow, but if I break it up in step-by-step habits, I will create what I want in the near future. Your thoughts and actions are the reason you are here right now. I mean, how many of you woke up this morning, Ann, Patrick, Marta, Lisa, and said, you know, I could do a lot of things this morning. Why did I choose to get on Millionaire Brand Creation? Why did I choose to fill my brain with more knowledge, right? I think a lot of that has to do with because you made a promise to yourself to create something bigger within yourself, right? To feel better about yourself, to showcase your goodness with the world and showcase the fact that I really have an impact on this world. What are some techniques and strategies that I can utilize to create that, right? And then the last thing is, once you've achieved a certain level of financial success, most people say, oh, once I reach $1 million or $5 million or $10 million, I'm on easy street, right? I can retire. It's easy. Well, let me tell you, when I first made my first million at 27 years old, for about one moment, I thought I made it. I'm good. I'm done. And then you realize you're never done. And you're never done because the excitement and the joy that brought you that success, whatever that success was for you. Maybe it was your marriage. Maybe it was your business. Maybe it was helping someone in need. Maybe it was making that big commission or getting a big rev share check. Whatever that was, that's a fleeting moment in time. And the only way to reoccur that moment and make your life sustainable and happy is to continually, every single day, be growing your presence and your spread of happiness by growing that thing. So if you talk to Grant, which I've had the pleasure of talking, with him probably 20, 25 times in my life in the past year, it's the dynamic of always be growing, right? Always be doing more. Always don't rest on your laurels. What you have now is not enough because you're not helping enough people. The 10X rule, if you remember the book, really is you must set targets for yourself that are 10 times more than what you think that you need. And take 10X the action, obviously, to create that and curate that. And here are some of the common mistakes, right? There are 4 common mistakes a lot of people make on their rise to success. The first common mistake is you're setting goals too low, right? You're setting goals too low. Oh, I'm making $3,000 a month. If only I made $3,500 a month. What if you changed your perspective and told yourself, I'm going to make $20,000 a month, but you come up short? I guarantee you're going to be making a lot more than that $3,500 a month if you set your tonality different in your mind. The second common mistake is people do not put in enough action, right? If you're cold calling or you're emailing or you're doing posts or you're doing all of these things, I guarantee you right now, if you're not having the success you want in your life, you're not doing enough. And if you pop in the comment section and or like this video, I'm curious, how many of you know deep down in your heart that you're not actually creating enough action in your life? I can be the first to admit I am. And I teach this stuff, you know, because one of the things that scares me and makes me stay up at night is not creating more success. It's because I think I have something in myself to help more people. I know a lot of you do too. You know, Lisa is a great example of that. But we're not doing enough. We're not taking enough action to curate that, right? And Patrick, we had that conversation last week on your business. We're not taking enough action to go out there and really create that difference that we know we have in our hearts, right? The third common mistake is you're spending too much time competing with other agents and not enough time dominating your specific niche, right? If you talk to Haas Pratt, one of our EXP partners, riches are found in niches, right? And I know we've talked about this, Ann. We've talked about how the closest way for real estate agents to become financially independent is to practice what they preach, right? Own your own real estate. Don't just sell real estate. Start being a benefactor, start being a landlord, and start practicing what you preach, right? So it oozes outside of your pores and outside of your veins. And a big shout out to Ann. You've done a great job with your rental property. And as soon as she joined my team, the second thing that she did is she bought a rental property. And hopefully in the near future, she'll be buying more and creating more passive income for her and her family. So kudos to you. So a lot of people are spending too much time looking around, right? You're looking around at your competition. You're looking around at Closers Club. You're looking around on these mass text threads and you're seeing, oh my goodness, that person made $20,000 a month in rev share and I only made $100 or I made $0. Stop competing and start dominating your own game, right? There are thousands of agents in the EXP model that make a hell of a lot more rev share than I do. But there are millions of people on this planet that don't own the same amount of real estate that I do and are a landlord at that level. What is your unique thing? What makes you unique? Stop competing against others and start focusing on yourself and your own net worth. And the fourth common mistake is you're underestimating the amount of adversity that you will have to overcome to accomplish your goal, right? You think it's going to be easy. I'll be the first to admit it is not easy. It's a lot easier when you break it down over daily contributions as opposed to yearly or decade-based contributions. But yeah, as Marta says, it's like running a race and turning back to see where the other racers are, right? You cannot do that. I used an analogy in last week's session where it was an analogy I learned from a mentor of mine. And he was telling me, he says, think of you as a thoroughbred racehorse, right? You are joining the ranks of the Kentucky Derby, but instead of running one lap, you're running a few, right? Life is a series of laps. It's a series of time around the sun, right? We only have so many years on this planet to accomplish what we're going to accomplish. The gun goes off. You're racing, you're a racehorse, all eyes are on you, and you want to succeed so bad, right? You close your eyes and you're running as fast as you possibly can to win the race, and you are running, and finally you open your eyes and you see, oh my God, all these horses are in front of me. They're beating me. How many of you are looking on social media right now, or possibly looking at your bank accounts, are looking at aspects of your life and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm behind? Be honest. How many of you think that, oh my goodness, I'm not where I want to be right now? How many of you right now think people my own age are better in better financial positions than you are right now? Be honest, like and comment if you feel this way. I feel this way and I'm a multimillionaire, you know, and so it never leaves you. But like any racehorse, keep going, keep running. And you're running. And finally, you go across the finish line and everyone is celebrating your success. And the announcer turns to you and says, congratulations, you won the Kentucky Derby. And you think to yourself, how is that even possible? All these horses were ahead of me the whole time. And they said, well, they weren't ahead of you. You were one lap ahead of them and you just didn't even know it. And that's a good simile in life, because that comparison is, you don't know where everyone else is in their life at this particular moment. And when you think they're way ahead of you, you don't realize you are far ahead of them in your own game. So keep that in mind. So many people I know, so many people I look up to, when I start pulling back the veil and pulling back their financial curtain and their family life and their personal life and their sex life, it is riddled with problems. Just because someone owns a $200,000 sports car or has an expensive watch or lives in an expensive house has nothing to do with their success. Nothing. Because the truth is, those that are stealthy, those that are uplifting those around them, and those that are creating really great ripples into the world and trying to help people, regardless of how people are viewing you, you are viewing yourself in a better light, and you are helping people along the way. And as human beings, that's really all we can hope for. And riches will focus on goodness, and riches will always focus on attention. So that's what the 10X rule teaches. That's what the book teaches. And another thing that Grant always talks about is never, ever reduce your target. Do not explain away failure, because you have to always increase your actions. If you're failing, it's because you're not acting enough, right? If you're not getting enough FLQAs or people in your rev share, or you're not getting enough business, you know it to be true in your heart. It's because you are not implementing enough action. I'm guilty. I'll be the first to admit I am, one of you. I may be just on a different financial playing field at this moment, but I maybe, like you, know it in my heart to be true that I am not taking enough action to create the life that I know is destinally possible for us. People will say success isn't everything. How many of you have heard that quote? Success isn't everything. Pop in the comment section or like it if you've heard that quote before, right? Well, I would say to that, no shit. We know that, right? Of course, success isn't everything, but it is important. And it's important because success isn't everything, but it gives you an excuse to limit your vision of success for yourself and justify the actions that you didn't take. Meaning, if you say something like that, right, as Brandon Dawson, Grant Cardone's partner, would say, your thoughts become your words become your actions become your legacy, right? So when you say stuff that, oh, money doesn't matter, or I'm happy the way I am content, you are conditioning your mind to say it's okay to be average. And the truth is, it isn't. As Grant will always testify, it's your duty to be successful. Do not view success as an option. Because the moment you view it as an option, you're giving yourself permission to fail. Think of that. If you view success as an option, you are giving yourself permission to fail. And that's unacceptable. You have one life to live. There is no second place. You are going to be first in your life, right? You're going to be first in curating and creating the life that you've always dreamed of. And I think a lot of people they play the blame game as a reason for them not being successful. And the problem is that victim mindset never, ever benefits you. How many of you have been in that situation? Oh, I lost a parent. I lost a spouse. I lost my husband or my girlfriend, or I lost all of these things. Oh, poor me. Oh, God. Oh, geez. Oh, no one cares about your struggles until you've become a success. And no one judges you on your failures. They only judge you on your one big success. So fail frequently, fail often. And one of the things in this video that Grant showcases on the link, if you go up in the comments section that Matt posted, is he says one of the biggest things that will attract a larger follower base for you and help blow up your brand is to talk about your failures, right? So many people think it's so bad to post anything of what they're struggling with, but that's how people connect to you, right? How many of you have struggled with your health? How many of you have struggled with your income, right? How many of you have struggled in a situation where you're not getting what you want, or struggled in a situation where, you're not living the life that you've always dreamed of. It happens, and you got to say to yourself, it's okay, right? That isn't going to define your life. What's going to define your life is that continuation of doing the things that you promised yourself and others that you're going to do. I think people, by holding yourself accountable, they will also level up to your action. So one of the reasons I like posting daily action habits, and one of the reasons I suggest you do the same, is because when you're holding yourself accountable and people are seeing that you're taking daily action, they may not comment on it, they may not like it, they may even poo-poo it and put it down. But in the back of their mind, they're saying, wow, Lisa, Patrick, Mike, Ann, they are taking action, and I respect them for doing that. And goodness, I wish I could do that in my own life, right? Failing to think big in the beginning will lead to failing to act big in the end, right? So really promote yourself and say to yourself, okay, what are some of the things that I can be doing every single day to think larger than I've already thought, right? And I think that's what Grant does so well. Grant really understands that success is like a garden. You must consistently tend and take care of it, right? People ask me all the time, like, how do you get leads, right? How do you grow your downline? How do you create a larger business footprint? And I think the biggest thing that people don't understand is you got to think of life as a big planting dynamic, right? It's a big garden, right? You're planting seeds consistently. Some of those seedlings grow into massive plants or trees or opportunities for your success, and others die. Just because it's a great seed and it's watered properly does not mean it will grow into something massive, does not mean it will grow into something huge. You don't know it. So how do you truncate those optionalities and make sure that you are successful? You plant more seeds, right? You create more contacts. You create more people in your life that are rooting for you to succeed, and you're helping others along the way find their success, right? I think that is the huge thing. Don't worry about time management. A lot of people worried about, oh, I got to balance my life with my time and my family and all those things. Instead, I want you to train your mind into thinking in an abundance mentality, right? Don't think either or. Instead, think of all and everything, right? I'm going all in. My body is going to be my vessel. My business is going to be a representation of me. I'm going to put in so much action, regardless of the outcome, that success is inevitable. It's not going to be an option. It's going to happen, right? And I think a lot of people, where they fail is they are overwhelmed by individuals that criticize. How many of you, post in the comment section, are in a situation where you've been criticized before? Raise your hand. Pop in the comment section, right? How many of you have been criticized? How many of you have posted something maybe on your social media or put something out there and said, someone's had a negative comment, right? Elena Cardone says that she is always out of balance because there's always so much happening in life. Yep, Patrick, yep. And I've done the same. And here's the thing I think a lot of people don't know about Grant, since we are talking about 10X. What people don't understand about Grant is when he made the cognizant decision to be famous, he was posting for 10 to 12 years his content online. He had such small viewership, and he was bombarding people with his name. He was bombarding people with his brand. And he created so many haters that he probably has 100 million people on this planet that despise Grant. He's flashy. He's all about money. He's into Scientology. He's in blah, 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 right? They hate him. They despise him. But of those 100 million, there's another 15 million people that love him, that buy his products, that really look at him as an Uncle G, so to speak, as someone that they can look up to and formulate their life based on, right? And think about this in your life. Regardless of how many haters you had, if you had 15 million people that said, Marta, you're an inspiration to me. Ann, you're an inspiration to me. Patrick, you're an inspiration to me. Lisa, you're an inspiration to me. How would your life forever change, right? And that's where a lot of people go wrong, is because they focus on the haters, right? They get distraught based on how many people are putting you down. I mean, I'll tell you, I know exactly how it goes, because when I started promoting myself, everyone came out of the woodwork. What do you know? You're in your 20s. You're driving your parents' cars. You've never had business success, yada, 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 right? It goes on and on and on and on. We're all in the same boat. But if you get past that hump, if you get past that layer of criticism and you blow through it, you're going to start getting people that are commenting on your stuff and saying, hey, keep going. You're really inspiring me. You're really helping me. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me, or I really appreciate you sharing your struggles, because that really resonates with me. That's how you create great authenticity in your brand. And I think as you move forward, you start to realize that your personal brand is intrinsically tied to your business brand. I never understood people that said, oh, I don't want my name on my business. I don't want anyone to know I own my business. I don't want anyone to know what I do, because my business speaks for itself. No, you as a representative, as a real estate agent, as a businessman or woman, you are a representative of your business, right? You are a representative of your success. If you are not curating exactly what you want to attract in your life, you are not doing the best you possibly can do for your business. You know, so many people say, well, how do I sell more expensive homes, right? How do I make more money? Well, you yourself have to be what you want to attract, right? Dress better, create better habits, be kinder to people, be a great conversationalist. How do you be a great conversationalist? You get yourself on video and you start promoting yourself. I get on my agents all the time about this, and all my colleagues. You guys are not promoting yourself enough. You're not promoting yourself enough. If you have 400, 1,000, 2,000 followers on your Instagram, you are not taking enough action at this moment in time to curate your brand to the next level. I'm just telling you the facts. It's the truth. And it's because there's something inside of you that's saying, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to be my authentic self. I'm afraid to put myself out there. I'm afraid to speak highly about myself. I'm afraid to self-promote. I'm afraid to sell EXP to others. I'm afraid to be more than I know I can be. I'm afraid to boast about a big commission check I just made. Don't be afraid, because that fear is bankrupting other people from learning and being inspired by what you're accomplishing, right? Because what you don't know is there's someone else on this planet right now today who is in exactly your shoes. You know, maybe they're your age. Maybe they're going through a struggle. Maybe they've experienced a struggle in their life that's so much like yours, right? But because you didn't share it, they're not learning from your experience. You know, and Ann, you know, you're a great example of this. You're putting in massive action, but you know deep down in your heart you can be doing more. I know I can be doing more. Patrick knows he can be doing more. Lisa knows she can be doing more. And all I challenge you to do is to curate more of that in your life. None of this is going to change overnight unless you yourself are changing on a daily basis and making sure that you're documenting these changes, right? You're documenting these changes. That's what these people are doing differently. They're documenting these changes. And when you look at Grant, I've studied him a lot the past year. What most people don't know is he made a really definitive decision in 2008, 2009. He was worth about $5-6 million. And when the 2008 crash hit, he and Elena did a lot of things together, right? They played the lottery game. What would you do if you had $100 million? What would you do if you could change the lives of a lot of people? What did you do? They started retraining their brains to say, if I lived in abundance, how many people could I help? What are the things that we could accomplish? And it was in 2009, 2010 and beyond where he basically got rid of all his single family assets. He got rid of his house that he owned in LA, like next to Leonardo DiCaprio, for $17 million. And he took that $17 million and he bought a $54 million apartment portfolio in the Western United States. And that's what got him into the apartment game, right? He started learning about accelerated depreciation. He started learning about taking your money to buy not depreciating assets, cars, watches, jewelry, going out, eating expensive dinners, all those things that don't add. But he took the money and he started dumping it into real estate assets that were paying him on a monthly basis, right? And so what was really astounding about Grant and what he did is basically in a span of 11 or 12 years, he took $6 million, pumped it full of OPM, other people's money, and his own money, leveraged the hell out of it, and now he controls over $5.5 billion worth of apartments across the United States, right? It's a fascinating rise. But what's interesting about it is these little things you can learn from, right? These little things you can learn from. And Matt posted this how to make money on social media thing in the comments section. And I urge you, when you have time, watch it. Because what he does, very similar to what I did in last week's session, is he's on a whiteboard basically showcasing how do you create your own story, right? If you've ever paid or ever been one of my clients, maybe some of my clients are on here now listening in the dating aspect of life or in the self-help aspect of life and success coaching, my quote always is, you must become the best version of yourself before you can attract the best version of others. And it's as simple as that. If you yourself are riddled with problems, if you yourself have relationship issues, or you're afraid to speak publicly, or you're afraid to post, or you're afraid to really realize your highest potential, you are bankrupting those that can learn from you and from your stories. So you must rise in order to attract a higher level of success in your life. Now, we'll talk about Miami and the 10X GrowthCon. How many of you, and post in the comments section if you're able, how many of you are actually going to Miami tomorrow, or how many of you are going in virtually for the 10X? Patrick, Ann, Marta, Lisa, did any of you sign up for 10X GrowthCon, or did any of you look at the virtual component? I'd be curious to see in the comment section. Well, while you guys type yes or no, oh, good. Okay, Marta, you're going into virtual. Good. Well, I think that's really good. And so what I learned last time, so Grant's been doing this for 6 or 7 years. His first 10X GrowthCon, most people don't know, is it was 100 people in Cabo San Lucas, right? And what he did is he started growing that dynamic. The idea of 10X GrowthCon came from a selfish place, right? Grant is no dummy. What he wanted to do was we wanted to create a stage big enough to talk to people that he didn't have access to before. So as it grew prior to COVID, his thing that he did was 3 years ago, he rented out Marlins Stadium in Florida, and he had 37,000 people in an event that was just a crazy event that first got me on his radar, right? I'm thinking, how could a guy bring in 37,000 people to one speaking engagement event? And ironically, it was at this event that many of you don't know, he met Brandon and Natalie. And if you don't know Brandon Dawson and Natalie Workman, his wife, they are now the partners of Grant in Cardone Ventures. So when you hear 10X 360, when you hear 10X your business, when you hear Grant will take a look at your business and rework it, that was the brainchild of both Brandon Dawson and Grant Cardone. And Brandon Dawson, ironically, for those of you who are in Arizona, lives here in Paradise Valley and goes back to Miami. So he is very accessible here in Arizona as well. But he started and he met Grant for the first time 3 years ago at the 10X Growth Conference. So one of the cool things about these 10X Growth Conferences, even if you're in a virtual component, which you are, Marta, is this year they have a virtual interactive component. So one of the big hitters that they brought on 2 years ago is a gentleman named Pete Vargas. And if you don't know Pete, he is a wizard of virtual webinar and virtual components when it comes to giving speaking engagements, etc. He runs a lot of Tony Robbins's virtual engagements and stuff like that. And because of COVID, we've seen a huge shift from in-person to virtual. And what Grant did, which was really smart, is he partnered up with Pete. Pete came to him and said, hey, you got to go virtual, and you have to start reaching people across the globe who physically, can't be in person. So he started doing that a couple years back. And it's really great because this year, as opposed to prior years, Marta, which you may not know, is after the speakers are on stage at 10X GrowthCon in Miami, they will go backstage, and you as a virtual ticket holder can ask them questions live, and they can answer those questions as well. So it's it'll be pretty cool. So you'll have a really good virtual component. One of the things that I'm going to do while I'm there is I'm going to try to create as much video content to share with you guys and take notes. I think when we get back, a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions, and it's going to be drinking out of a fire hose of all this information. But what I do know about the this year's event, it's taking place at the Diplomat Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. It's a 3-day event. The first evening is the welcome party, and they have a big 10X proponent, someone that really loves the 10X movement, which you probably heard of him, Flo Rida. He will be performing Thursday evening for all the ticket holders. And then the subsequent 3 days, Grant has held a lot of the information back. But what I do know is this. Grant spent $8.1 million on this event. $8.1 million. That's more money than he spent on the Marlins Stadium event. And what's really interesting is for $8.1 million, he only has 3,700 people in the actual room, us being one of them. And then he has about 20,000 people signing in virtually, like Marta and a lot of people, across the globe. But what's crazy is for $8.1 million, the caliber of speakers that he'll have. One thing I know, being a diamond ticket holder, is his birthday was a couple of days ago, and Saturday night he will host a private diamond party with T.I. So you guys probably known T.I. through his mini hits 10, 15 years ago, and T.I. is going to be performing for him and for us for Grant's birthday, and that's Saturday night, probably on a yacht party. And the reason I bring this stuff up is what Grant does well, and some of the things that we can learn from is he pays for access, right? He gets some of the biggest players on the planet, and he pays them obscene amounts of money to use their likeness, to interview them, and to garner knowledge from them, and hopefully create and institute friendships from them that will last a lifetime. And I think that's one of the biggest things, having been to 10X last year, and the biggest things I realized from our brand, the Culhane groups, and having been there with Matt and with Brian and with Glenn and Lisa Copeland and all the people in our orbit, is it really gives you a shot of adrenaline, right? And I think more like anything, that shot of adrenaline propels us forward in the short term. But if you're not taking copious notes, if you're not really implementing a lot of the things that they're talking about, you're not going to take what you've learned and really implement it in your life at a high level. Some of these tickets are obscenely expensive. I know in the front row, they're ranging anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 a ticket. And he's able to charge this because he understands, like Barnum and Bailey, how to put on a show. He understands that by creating that high level of content and by creating a really huge speaking engagement with some of the top people, he creates and attracts some of the highest minds on the planet. The other thing I think that's very interesting is he also told us that he is bringing on 12 billionaires on the speaking circuit. Now, if you think about it, there's only 2775, I think, billionaires in the world right now. And he will be talking to at least 12 of them this weekend. And one of the things I think is really interesting to understand when it goes to creating your $1 million brand, that's why you guys tune in here, is to learn from those that have qualities that you want to learn from, right? Learn from those that have done more than what you've done. Follow the leader. That's all this is. That's all these teachings teach us is before you can run, you have to walk, right? Before you can walk, you have to get out of bed. Before you can get out of bed, you have to have the mental mindset to want to get out of bed and start getting out there and start doing these things. And the ironic thing is, money is no different. When you start doing these things in a daily ritual, pattern, as we talked about in Closers Clubs today, as what Grant talked about as well, you start changing the trajectory of your life, and you're not going to see it right away. You're not going to see it in your body. You're not going to see it in your bank account. You're not going to see it in your social media. But you will see it 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years from now. You will see it when you walk into a room. And the thing I want to stress is whatever you want in life, you have to create a plan to achieve it. And I think a lot of people do not write down their goals. They do not hold themselves accountable. They don't know exactly what they want. They are wandering the planet as a bunch of zombies trying to pull from different people as to what they think will make them happy. And instead of making other people happy, make yourself happy. Make yourself the embodiment of the dream that you want to live. And I think that's the key to the game. I spent time with Robert and Erica. Robert's on the call at the Phoenix Open, and you learn a lot about that husband and wife team. How many of you have a spouse that maybe is into business and that wants to curate your business, right? That wants to help you go to the next level. The only way that you can do that is to consistently be putting yourself in the room with people equal or greater than you, right? Push out the noise. Push out the noise of what people are telling you to do. Assimilate and attribute in your life what it is that you want to accomplish. Because the truth is, what I may want is different than what Robert wants. It may be different than what Marta wants. It may be different than what Ann wants. It may be different than what Patrick wants. But you know in your heart what it is that you find important and what it is that you want. So before we get off the call, I know Matt and Brian and everyone are leaving to Miami today. Are there any questions I can help answer while we're on this live feed, or any questions that you guys have about 10X? Any questions you have about Grant? Any questions you have about Elena? Are there any questions that I can help you answer, or maybe notes, that we can take and bring back to you after the conference? Post them in the comment section if you could. But all I can say is this, while we're waiting on comments, I really wish you guys a lot of success, because the truth is success begets success. And I want you to be happy. And the only way you're going to be happy, I'm telling you, is by making consistent daily deposits in your life. Because when you have small moments of glory, right? When you have small moments of doing the right thing, how soon does that feeling fade away? Like when you have a great moment, how soon does that high wear off where you're chasing the next high? A day, 2 days, maybe a week? The only way you can maintain that consistent high is to know deep down in your heart and your mind that you're making those daily deposits that you promised with yourself. That's the key to the game. Consistently be making promises to yourself and fulfilling those promises, building your confidence, writing down your goals, creating and taking massive action. Don't work hard, work smart, right? Don't be friends with a lot of people, be friends with the right people. Don't let negative energy into your life. Get rid of it, dump it. Anyone that's derailing you from achieving your goals, do not listen to them. Don't listen to them. It's very hard to take criticism. I've taken criticism my whole life. And what I realized is now it's because they haven't accomplished what I've accomplished, right? Instead of No specific questions, but looking forward. Yeah, I mean, Ann, we have so much great content coming on board. And Marta, great job signing up for the virtual event. It's going to be some really amazing content. And as much as I can share, I want to bring back to you guys, and hopefully you can implement it in your life. But create 10x action, create 10x in your marketing brand, create 10x in your business, and go out there and do something today and every day to make a difference in you and your family's lives. This is the day, if any day, to get going, get off your ass, and achieve what you've always wanted to achieve. And we all can be doing more. And I'm going to try my best to do more to help myself and help you guys. And I hope you do the same. So have a wonderful week. If no one has any questions or you have further questions, feel free to follow me on Instagram at Michael Banovac. Be happy to answer any questions that you have. If you have specific questions that you want me to ask while at 10X, or you have a question you want me to ask for someone on stage, DM me and I'll be happy to ask it on your behalf. So have a great week, and I hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, an amazing weekend. And thank you, Joe. Thank you, Marta. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Patrick. Extreme success in your guys' lives. Congratulations, and can't wait to see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.